so happy right now. You have no idea. What's up? What's up? What's up? This is Doc, aka Dr. Larian, aka Royal True Orange Cassidy, aka Bingo Takagi, aka Crying Tiger Mask, aka Jushin Chanda Liga, aka Ultimo Dragon Fruit, aka Dolphy Ziggler, aka Andrew E. Cornick, aka Black Tiger for the Culture, aka, oh man, it's a good morning, Magandang Umaga, aka Big Match Gian Sinagang, aka the Vegan Killer, Randy Ota, aka the Flanimal Bautista. I walk around the roasting pit election, aka my AKAs are unlimited. AKA I think I'm gonna go here and call myself the Stray Balot, aka the Chow main event. Aka nothing's realer than Parilla, aka the good Bob Boy, yeah, aka Suman Reigns, acknowledge me. Yo, and then here we go to the main event. Not the Chow main event, but the other thing. Welcome to the Puso Penitentiary. And when I say Poos, y'all say so. Poos,
So,
Poos,
so,
So,
Shoo! Ow, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. I got with me two beautiful African women, two beautiful women from across the pond, two beautiful hosts of Tea and Tussle. I got with me Chides and AJ, the visionary. Welcome to the building, Tea and Tussle.
thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yo, and I know y'all got your own AKAs that you do on your show, so I'm gonna give y'all the floor because it's all love here. It's all love.
AJ, do you want to go first?
hi guys, I'm AJ. I can't top any of those AKAs, but AJ, aka the Visionary, aka Glock Lesnar, aka AJ Saints, aka the host of Tea and Tussle. How's it going, everyone?
You, yo,
It's your girl Chids, aka Nash Wheeler, aka the head baddie in charge, aka Osprey's number one fan, aka CM Punk's ride or die, aka the co-host of Tea and Tussle.
yo, it is an honor for me to have you guys on here. This has been a long time coming. You guys don't know, but like I've been a fan of you guys for like a long time. And like when I started this show, like you guys were part of the inspiration of that because, when I think about wrestling fans and I think about how diverse and varied we all are, I think about like shows like of guys that I've recorded with, Shout out to you guys at Graph City. Shout out to you guys at One Nation Radio, Rich and James. Shout out to everyone I've recorded with. But most of all, I want to thank all the ladies that I've recorded with because a lot of the times we forget to listen to women. And I want to say this, not just because I'm getting brownie points from my wife, but if if you have a significant other, or if you just want to live a better life, listen to the women in your life because sometimes they know better. Sometimes,
You're
most
always
of the
right.
time, they're always right. Never correct them. Please save yourself the trouble. And I absolutely love your guys' coverage of wrestling. I love how knowledgeable you guys are, and it just goes to show that wrestling fans are not a monolith. Wrestlers are not a monolith, and I love what you guys do, and I love the show you guys do. So I'm very honored to have
Thank you very much. Those are very humble words, and obviously, thank you for taking out the time to have us on your show. We greatly appreciate always interacting with people in the wrestling sphere and just, having a good old time and just talking wrestling and getting perspectives from different people across the world, regardless of gender, age, sex, views, everything. We just all know that wrestling is our mutual love. So again, thank you for having
Yeah.
and taking the time out for us
Oh.
to have a chat with you.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. And the thing is, when I go around like whatever, because before it was wrestling forums, right? And then after wrestling forums, it was Reddit, and then after Reddit, it's been Discords,
Yeah,
and of course, there's always been Twitter. Wrestling Twitter is pretty funny. People say that wrestling Twitter is mean, but they've never been on Black Twitter, and
which is true.
you don't know what mean is until you've been on Black Twitter. And I absolutely love that I have you guys here. And we were talking before about your guys and how you guys fell into wrestling. So, whoever wants to start off, like my first question all the time is, how'd you guys get into wrestling?
I'll start.
All right, Cheats.
I got into wrestling through my family. We used to watch it on a channel called Sky, um, which is like a cable network in the UK.
Okay.
I don't think they have it in the US.
No,
But
no,
yeah, I
no.
used to watch it like every like Monday night and Friday nights. But because I don't really remember what like the first match I watched was, but I remember like the first like storyline that I really got into, which was like Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio for like the custody of Dominic Mysterio. And I remember seeing that and being like, what the hell am I watching? And I was so young. I think I was like maybe 6 or 7. So like that
Yo,
was really what stuck into my brain. And so going from like a storyline to even watching them actually do the match, I was just like in awe of like everything that was going on at the time. And from there I was just like, this is my sport. Like
yo,
most people have like football or basketball and like sports that they're into. And then I was like, nah, wrestling is my thing.
yeah. Wrestling has been in my family too. My mom loved pro wrestling. My uncles love pro wrestling. It's just been something that, and like all my cousins, we all grew up watching wrestling, so it's kind of funny. I know a lot of people tell the story of how they grew up and nobody in their family or nobody of their friends watched wrestling, but everybody in my family watched wrestling. It's pretty
Yeah, so,
funny. Um, and I think it's funny your core memory is Dominic Mysterio being put up for custody in a ladder match. But that feud was so good.
it
I think
was.
it was so good. And I absolutely love Dirty Dom. I love Sucio Dom, like, because he became so good over the last 2 years of being like a little
Yeah,
shit heel. Like it started when he had the feud with his dad, but now he's getting 50-50 reactions with John Cena in New York and in Boston. You know how crazy that is? I mean,
yeah.
he still can't really do a 619, but he got that
It's
crowd like
okay.
crazy.
You got the crowd going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How about you, AJ? How'd you get into wrestling?
So how I got into wrestling was through my dad. One day he just came home with a PS2 and SmackDown Just Bring It,
Yo,
and I just yeah, a lot of people they have the TV experience, but I got the gaming experience. So I experienced the game before I actually watched wrestling. And yeah, like I learned all the moves, I learned and the story and played all the games, and then suddenly wanted to kind of like explore it. um we at the time we had the same thing called cable, Sky, which is your version of cable. We had Sky Sport, and I used to watch it after school every day, Monday and Friday. And at the time there was things like Heat and Velocity as well, so you would watch the recaps. And yeah, that's just literally how I got into it, through my dad buying a game, and I just subsequently followed on watching. You know, I can't tell you. I mean, it was so overwhelming in terms of like how many storylines and how
yeah,
many things were going on, in terms of like what was, like I said, what was going on. But I think I mentioned beforehand, like that transition between the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression was peak what I remember. My first memory is just Kane in the ring doing his ring entrance, and then yeah, just that's how I got into it, and I just love the spectacularness of it. I love the historical aspect of it. So while I started in the attitude slash ruthless aggression, I love that there was something like the golden era, the new generation era that I could go back to and see how people came to be what they were today and why
Yeah.
they're legends in the game. So I definitely loved the lore aspect of wrestling of WWE, and yeah, that's just what it kind of like branched into my love into different companies, into different wrestlers as well. So that was my first interaction with wrestling.
Yeah, that's really cool, because like if you stick with wrestling, you kind of just stick with wrestling forever. And
Mm.
obviously you guys do a show about it, you feel you guys are stuck by it. And was there a reason that you guys didn't feel like did you guys ever grow out of wrestling? Like was there a period where you guys just like stopped watching or weren't like interested?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it was definitely around, let's say, around 2013 to 2021. I
Wow.
stopped watching. No, for I think that was a time when the accessibility to it was dwindling, so it was really kind of hard. Like I said before, it used to be channel on the channel, it was Sky Sports, but then I think obviously this is when around the time when the like WWE went public, and they started to change up who they were sort of. So like I said, the accessibility to it was kind of hard, so it
Mhm.
wasn't something that you would watch so easily. Again, the storylines weren't properly interesting to me, which is funny enough because looking back, that was probably some of the best moments in terms of, again, transitioning from a story aspect to more wrestling aspect. That's where we saw the rise of people like Seth Rollins, Brian Danielson, um, those guys proper taking over, and like NXT booming, NXT Gold booming as well. So yeah, for me that was the time. But then also it was like changing life. You're growing up, you're discovering boys and university and alcohol and clubbing on the weekend, so you didn't really have time for wrestling. But again, around 2021, it was actually AEW that got me back into wrestling. And actually, no, that's a lie. AEW got me back into wrestling, but it was also the community that I met around Twitter that got me back into wrestling. So it was
Oh,
around 2000 and yeah 2021, 2022 that I got back into wrestling.
oh wow. How about you, Cheats?
For me, I would say it was around the years of 2017 to 2020 that
Mm.
I stopped watching wrestling. I think I started uni back in like 2017, 2018. And then
I
I
feel
just
so
yeah, I just
old.
completely that's what my co-host
I
said.
graduated 2018. 2018, that's when I
Oh
graduated.
man.
She's going in,
I just started
I'm
straight.
finishing.
Yeah, so like I stopped watching for a good I'd say like 3 years, and then I don't know what happened. I was on YouTube, and you know how you go into like those wormholes on YouTube, and I just happened to stumble across like a what culture video. I think it was like I don't like to say his name because he's a bit of a weirdo, but like Adam Blumpier, he did these videos where he'd
Hmm.
rework storylines in the way that he would do them. And I found that video so interesting, so I just went down like a whole wormhole of watching all their wrestling videos, and they do a lot like facts and things. And I was like, I didn't even know any of these things were happening behind the scenes. And then from there, I started watching more of like the indie shows. I think, or like the ones that weren't like WWE shows. So I think one of the main
Yeah.
wrestling matches that really got me back into it was the whole feud between Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho in New Japan. From there, I was just like, bro, this is where I need to be. Like WWE, I don't really care about you too tough. New Japan is where it's at. Like this is real wrestling. And then obviously the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes, they were in Bullet Club, and they all formulated like all in shows, all out shows. And I was just like, I started following them from there. So like AJ said, AEW in like the early periods really got me back into wrestling. Like I'd watch WWE here and there, but it really wasn't catching my eye. So I'd
Yeah.
refer back to AEW, New Japan, even watching like old indie matches. So I'd be watching like Tyler Seth Rollins to Tyler Black on like Ring of Honor, or I've been watching PWG matches. I've been watching like Candice LeRae versus like the Young Bucks on PWG matches, which was like awesome. So like all of those things really got me back into wrestling and started making me want to watch it on like a regular basis.
That's great. I always feel like if you're a wrestling fan and you fall out, if you find something that reminds you of why you were a wrestling fan, it always drags you back in. Because
Absolutely, yeah,
like you watch wrestling for a certain reason, and if you watch something new and like there's something that speaks out to you, it'll drag you back in. Me, I'm one of those people that like never stopped watching wrestling because I'm a freak, like one Mr. Tony Khan. Um, and like it's sort of like there's been periods where I fell out of it, but really what kept me like invested was the community around wrestling. You know,
mm,
I always like make jokes about like, you know, the internet wrestling community, but it's a community and like there's some people that I found in it that have become my friends or been on certain discords with them. And like the conversation is what keeps me going back to it and like keeps me sort of engaged sometimes. Because like right now, American Pro Wrestling is sort of like it's a drag to watch, but the conversations around it are pretty are pretty fun to have. Like
yeah,
and the community in pro wrestling and how you guys found it, I think you guys found it like through Twitter. I think that's very interesting to be dragged back through the social media and like watching clips and having this sort of community around it because it's it's sort of like only in wrestling where you find this community where like you have this sort of like back and forth and like it gets so heated when you have this back and forth but you can't stop talking about it. And you know, people say it's just wrestling. Why do you care so much? And it's like, well, you know, these sort of conversations happen also like if you're talking about regular sports or if you're talking about like
hmm
something like Doctor Who or like Star Wars, or people all talk about no, this is what the canon is. No, this was the best season. Or like even me, I love Simpsons. Like you have people that watch Simpsons from the beginning till to 1997, and then everybody afterwards who started with like the 2000s. And God help me, my nieces and nephews who started watching like 5 years ago. It's so funny to see like these different like generations of people conversate on this one thing called wrestling. Like we have this because you know AJ talked about talking learning about the history of pro wrestling. I think that's awesome. That you go back and learn about it and have the lore just like sort of like laid out for you, and you sort of see these patterns in pro wrestling. And they say pro wrestling is sort of what do they say? Pro wrestling is not circular. It goes in spikes. There's ebbs and flows to where wrestling has this sort
yeah.
of interest in it, and so a lot of those times you see the same tropes play out. And I think that pro wrestling is sort of in its own sort of niche as far as what media is, because I watch it like an action show, right, or like an action movie where like the storyline is pretty could be deep, could be short, but what drives me to watch is like the action. So if the action sucks, why am I bothering watching? And I know there's some wrestling fans who don't really care about the matches and would rather watch the promos. And to them, I say, oh yeah, well, good for you guys, but that's not me. So what was it about wrestling that really appealed to you guys?
I think for me it was the aspect of like the whole theatrical nature of it. It's like
Hmm.
it's a I know me and AJ talk about this a lot on our podcast, but we compare it to like drag and
Oh
the whole pantomime nature of wrestling
yes.
is really what eclipses everything. Like you can like the wrestling aspect and you can like the promo aspect, but when you build those things together and put the things together, that's what real wrestling is all about. And I think that's what drew me into it because like even though I started with like a storyline, the match that happened because of the storyline and me matching those things together in my brain, I was just like, this is something to be hold and to look at and to love and to
Oh.
really revere, and I feel like that's what really drew me into wrestling as a whole.
That's great. And you brought up drag. I know this is not a video podcast, but you guys got to get a little vision of me doing some voguing. I love, I love drag. If you gotta watch RuPaul's Drag Race, it's one of my favorite ones. Watch
Literally,
Dragula. Watch,
yeah.
the whole aspect of drag, of it being like it's an act, but you're driven into the whole act by the performers being into the bit. Like
Hmm.
they're fully in on the bit of like, okay, I'm portraying this version of femininity where you're trying to believe that I'm serving, and that's where the term serving comes from. It comes from the African American gay community, and it's sort of they were the ones who sort of like, most of our slang comes from the African American communities, and especially now we get saying like yes queen, serving, all that stuff. It all comes from the Black gay community. Um, and drag is probably one of the, like, if you love pro wrestling and you love entrances, like if that was the thing about NXT that appealed to you, like hearing guys' music and then coming out and doing that whole performance, I think RuPaul's Drag Race would be a show that you would probably love. If I'm
Absolutely.
like, like how Shinsuke would come out before and then like he'd do like his whole song and dance, or like even like Adam Cole in AEW has that whole waiting for his thing so you go boom, like that all is sort of like encompassed with drag, and I love the whole keeping the kayfabe with drag. And if you watch like there is a big crossover with the drag community and pro wrestling fan community. My brother, who's now my sister, my trans sister, she also loved that, but I grew up loving RuPaul. um even when I found out that she wasn't like a biological, even though she wasn't a woman. But like when she had her show on VH1, I watched it like as an 11-year-old. So, but there's like gay community drag hasn't really been an issue for me growing up because I grew up with a lot of butch aunts, a lot of very femme uncles. So yeah, I could see like how there's so many aspects of Dragon Pro wrestling that sort of like combine, and like it meshes well. Um, and like I say this all the time, but my favorite stories are meet cutes. So how did you guys meet?
Um, we met through Twitter through another podcast that we highly revere called Wrestlings. So there was a group chat, and like I said, like in the wrestling, like in the UK scene, there's very few and far between black women that love wrestling. So you find that you have a lot of male wrestling friends, which is great. But I think yeah, one day me and Chidera just started, we just we just clicked. We just absolutely, it was like we knew each other for a very, very long time. That was where we met online. I think the first time we actually met in person is when we were doing a recording for them, um, called Wrestling's House, which
Hmm.
was just reactions to different matches. We met there and for the first time, and I think we recorded a video together, and again we just clicked, and since then we've just been great. Oh, I should also mention that we met our other co-host, Natalie. I was on a program which was specifically designed for women to be able to, do sports podcasting, and I met her through another friend, and they said, "Hey, look, I've got a friend. She's really into wrestling as well." And we laugh at the story because she needed some powder on her face for her face makeup, and I had some powder, so I met her at the door with nothing but a towel on, and yeah, we just kicked it off since then, and then we just literally all got on like a house on fire. So that's how we all met. We literally met through other people. We met through word of mouth. We met through just just getting on.
Yeah, and I love that you guys have your show you record together. Are you guys all in the same room when you're recording? Or is
Yep.
that just, oh, okay,
You,
that's
yeah,
cool.
you, yeah, we are, yeah.
I love that aspect of it because a lot of the times what's sort of missing in the whole discussion is putting a face and being in the same room and having these discussions. I think that it's really fun to be with people to have that discussion because a lot of times when we're talking about wrestling fans, we're talking about people who you're just talking with, like you're just typing words with, but you guys actually met and the discussions became real. Like
Mm.
what I love about doing this show is the conversation becomes real because I get to hear the voices behind, well, in your cases, I always listen to your voices whenever you guys release a show, but to get to know the voices behind the voices is always like, it's always fun to me and to like meet the people and like have these kind of conversations. It's just, it lets me feel better about, not feel better about being a fan, but like it makes me feel good that like the fandom is so varied. And like when you guys are talking about your community of black female wrestling fans in the UK specifically, yeah, I mean, it does sort of feel like sort of limiting as finding like I mean, you have peers, it's cool to have peers that are like, men or like even women, with female peers. That's great. Well, when you can find people who sort of like have your sort of same sort of background and you guys sort of jive, it's a good feeling. Because I remember because like earlier this or a couple months back, I did a series of podcasts with Asian American podcasters that I looked up to, right? I'm talking about like Garrett Gonzalez, Wei Ting, WH Park, and one of my other podcasters that I interviewed was a Filipino American who did one of my favorite Filipino American podcasts. But like what Wei Ting had said is he called me one of the pillars of Asian American podcasting for wrestling, and I was honored, but then he also said, but the community is very small. There's not that much of us. So I can feel you guys on that. But you guys do an excellent job, and there's a reason I reached
Thank
out to
you.
you guys. It's because you guys do quality work, and you guys represent yourselves, represent the culture, represent your community to the fullest, and it's so engaging the conversations that you guys are able to have. And the last episode I listened to was you guys doing your show during Black History Month in the UK, which is something that I didn't know about that you guys did over there.
Yeah. Black History Month in the UK, especially around October time, has always been a sort of kind of not triggering topic, but it's kind of been a topic that's always been in arms because there's always something that we could do more. From what we see on the American aspect, like February is where, like, because obviously you guys do Black History Month in February,
Yeah,
um, and it seems to be more out there, more outspoken, more celebrated, more eyes towards that. Whereas with the UK, it seems more subdued. It seems more, everybody each to their own, do your own thing, sort of thing.
yeah,
And I really think sometimes we can take an example from the American playbook on how to do Black History Month, but that's not to say that it is perfect because I know that African Americans face their own um, issues and their sort of challenges when it comes to Black History Month and celebrating Black culture in the US.
yes.
Um, so yeah, it is a topic that we want to always speak about and that we want to acknowledge and we always want to place ourselves into and to be able to kind of spread the word through the way that we know the most, which is wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, because African American History Month here is in the month of February. We also celebrate, well, most of the states except for Arizona also celebrate Martin Luther King Day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day in February. And it's sort of just like, because I told my other friends this, when you talk about Black culture in America, it's just culture. Because the music, the the fashion, the dances, it all comes from Black people.
Mm.
And I always say like, because I'm Filipino, Filipino American, and there's musical acts like Bruno Mars who does go out of his way to say like he wouldn't be making the music he made without the black forefathers who did that music. And I believe like there's you know there is sort of this misappropriation of like as sort of like de-emphasization of color, and
Mm,
when people of color have like sort of striven for excellency, it's sort of like put it in the back of like, oh, they could have been any race and they would have been successful. But like no, for somebody like I'm gonna bring him up because he's a little bit tricky for wrestling fans. Like for somebody like The Rock, all right, somebody like The Rock to become the number one paid actor in Hollywood for however many years that was, for somebody like The Rock to uh, put 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 African Americans and Polynesian Americans into where they can be on all of these magazine covers, where something like what the Bloodline did for those 5 years, they
Yeah.
were the top act in pro wrestling, and these are like brown people as being the top act. It's it's very meaningful, and I know a lot of people like harken that up to like sort of nepotism, but when I think of guys like The Rock, Roman Reigns, when I think about a guy like Swerve Strickland and what he meant, Swerve Strickland meant as the first African American men's world champion, because the first African American women's world champion was Nyla Rose. People always
mm,
forget that AEW has had multiple African American champions in different divisions, whether it be Scorpio Sky as the inaugural World Tag Team Champion. But it's just when you think of black people in the scope of pro wrestling, a lot of times you have to be excellent to be considered good, and that's a problem, but also sometimes a blessing. But it sucks because like how many times do we need mediocre white men with mediocre work rate wrestling and getting those tough spots where like guys like Kofi, guys like Xavier, guys like Big E, guys like, you know, even Bobby Lashley when he lost the title, like he didn't do anything else, and then it's just sort of like weird to me that even nowadays it's a black main eventer is few and far between. That's just
mm,
weird to me. Shout out to Mercedes Moné. Shout out to Jade Cargill. Shout out to Bianca. Shout out to, you know who you are. I know people like talk down on NXT, but shout out to Ricky Saints because not a lot of
mm-hmm,
people get to be there and be on that level. Ricky Saints,
That was
Trick
amazing
Williams, Oba Femi.
striking
Like
as well.
it's sort of just like it's sort of like a little bit depressing where you see these guys who have so much talent. And like when I read that quote from Shapiro about WWE trying to appeal to all races and demographics, not necessarily with people of color, but with white men, that was the coded language. Like, no, we're gonna appeal to all these people using white people, and that's sort of like what's been the standard in entertainment in general is using a white person to appeal to everybody. And I'm sorry, that's just the truth. I know some people feel a certain way about that when you say that, like. But like it's true. The pretty white person with blonde hair is always gonna appeal to everybody because that's what society is deemed. Sorry, Hangman Page fans. But yeah, that's just something I say. How do you guys feel about representation, whether it be in wrestling or in the wrestling media space, which you guys are in?
I mean, when it comes to representation, I feel like there's always a conversation happening about it, and I feel like people try, but it's like they're not trying hard enough. And I know that they're not trying hard enough with that the words that they use. So even like Triple H saying I don't see color, I just see talent.
Mm.
It's like, bro, you know what you're saying, and you know that what you're saying is wrong, and it makes no sense. Because if you saw talent, you see talent in Montez Ford, and Montez Ford would be an intercontinental champion by now. He'd be a US champion by now. But you clearly see color, and it's like it's like
Eh,
black people fight so hard for representation, and then people call us out for fighting something that should be natural, but it is in fact not natural because look at the where we are in the world right now. There's
Yeah,
still like awards going in which people are saying this is the first black male woman non-binary to win an award, and it's like we're in the year 2025. What do you mean the first black person to do it? That doesn't make any sense.
that's crazy. It's crazy that we're still like leaning on the first black whatever because but because one of the shows I loved watching before growing up was the Boondocks, right? And
Mm,
when we think of like the post-racial world, right? Allegedly, when Obama became the president of the United States, that meant that there was no more racism, right? That's what everybody said. Because if a black man could be president, then black people shouldn't face any sort of like trials and tribulations. But lo and behold, that is not the truth. I
hell no.
believe, like when we say people of color, we don't see color. That means like, yeah, you don't see color. You're never gonna see people of color because you're never gonna acknowledge people of color. That's
Hmm.
what color blindness is. I believe like Cody Rhodes, for as much jokes that people make us calling him Cody Nahaji Rhodes, Cody Trevante Rhodes, um, like because he had this interview where he talked about how him and Brandy first started going out, and he told Brandy like, hey, I don't see color. I'm just colorblind. I treat people
Yeah,
equally.
I
And
remember
she's
this
like,
interview.
he was like, oh no, look at us when we go out. See what it means to be treated equally. And you can't be colorblind. And his daughter, beautiful, beautiful biracial daughter. It's
Yeah.
it's daughters now, and it's like when you go into that kind of relationship, and he's coming in there. I know like he's half Latino, but he to the outside world he just looks like a white man, and it's
Mm,
just sort of like there's this difference when you're a person of color and when you're a white person where there's these sort of expectations that people have or sort of stereotyping that people have. As a Southeast Asian man that's not like East Asian and I'm brown, over here the sort of stereotype for people that look like me is that I would be a member of a gang. To the point where I was pulled over for police for just walking while being brown, which kind of ruined my relationship with the police. And
yeah.
right now in America, like I can't even go walk my dog without a fear of me being picked up by the police and being dragged to some detention center just for the purpose of me not looking like your average American. So
Mm,
like right now is a real shitty time, and sort of like it being represented in wrestling for me, like seeing like Asians or like any person of color. Anytime I see a person of color like actually like achieve something, like when I saw Bobby Lashley be the WWE champion, when I see Swerve win the world title, when I see like Takeshita get to the heights that he has, like it's encouraging to see like Takeshita and Okada be like accepted as main event level talents on American TV. Like when would we ever have seen that? Like it's so weird that that isn't the norm, especially when it comes to like sports and we see guys like Yamamoto and Otani be like A-lister celebrities in America. But for wrestling to finally catch up on that in
mm.
2025 for everything, seeing Bandito like back up there and being sort of like a top guy, it's encouraging. It's encouraging, but it's like, why did it take so long?
That's
It's
the question, man.
yeah. Um, and as far as like representing in the podcast space, in the wrestling media space, I think you guys do an excellent job of that. Um, and you guys put faces to your voices. You guys always always have this the vernacular. You guys have the presentation, and it's great to see people of color be so good at what you guys are doing because it's just I find that podcasting is also just a form of telling stories. In
Mm,
my culture, a lot of what we do is we do oral histories, where we pass down stories from the elders down to the little the little ones now, the young people. And I feel like podcasting does that now, and people aren't really aware of it. But like when we share these stories, we're sharing pieces of ourselves. And I want to say thank you guys for doing that with me today. It because this conversation I feel has been very fruitful. I love this time I spent with you guys.
Yeah.
Um,
No, we appreciate you for bringing us on and having these kind of conversations with us.
yeah, I think it's very important to sort of like, beyond just pro wrestling. And I just like getting to know you guys as people and as fans of pro wrestling. And what you guys mean to this sort of scene is you represent people on the margins who don't really have voices. And to to do that, for you guys to have the podcast, to have the show, for you guys to have the following that you guys do, it's very cool. It's very cool.
Thanks, man. This is really cool. I appreciate all the kind words.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
fact, we appreciate all the kind words.
yeah. This is sort of what I like to do with my show is just get to know people. And you two are absolutely two of the best people I have talked to. And just to give like a little bit of background, we've been actually talking for 2 hours, but this is but it's felt like 30 minutes. And then I absolutely love this, but there's these two questions I ask at the end of my show. The first
Yep.
question I always ask is, so my favorite part of every meal is dessert. So what's your guys' favorite dessert?
For me personally, I have two. I'm gonna cheat. Um, I love a New York cheesecake and I love red velvet cake. So those are my favorite desserts.
So is it the you like the red velvet with the cream cheese frosting?
Yeah.
Is it that cream cheese that speaks to you? 'Cause I love cheesecake and I love red
I think
velvet.
it's the cheese and the because obviously red velvet is like chocolate cake and I love chocolate cake. So
Yeah.
mixing them both together just it's the delicacy and cheesecake is just top notch.
Oh yeah, I love cheesecake. That's a problem for me. Every time there's a cheesecake at a family party, I think most of my plate is cheesecake. And and I'm not sure if AJ's still with us, but I just want to say it's been
I'm
such
here.
a
I'm here. I'm
oh,
here.
okay. Oh, so AJ, what's your favorite dessert?
My favorite dessert is I love a big fat decadent fudge chocolate cake.
Oh
Like
man.
those ones where like it's just melting and oozing all types of chocolate. I just love it. It's just warm and just comforting and just very, very Moorish.
Oh man. That's delicious. And I love you guys' show, and I've been talking about this whole time. But do you guys want to do your plugs?
For sure, you guys can find us on TikTok, Instagram, X. I don't like to put it. No, in fact, it's Twitter. It's not X. I don't know what Elon Musk is doing over there. You guys can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, or at Tea and Tussle. So that's TEAANDTUSSLE, Tea and Tussle.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And please listen to them whenever they release an episode. It might not be weekly, but their episodes are always quality.
Thank you.
And finally, my last question, because it's one of my favorite questions. If a rainbow appeared out of the sky with a message from you guys, you guys have your own rainbows. What would you want your rainbow to say?
That's such a sweet question. Um,
My answer was not going to be sweet.
you start and you start off with not a sweet and I'll end on a sweet.
My rainbow message will be go outside and touch some grass.
I knew it was going to be that.
I
I
just
love
feel
you,
like
AJ.
everybody needs to touch grass sometimes. Get outside.
Yeah, it's nice to go outside and experience nature sometimes, have that sun on your face. Um,
Even if it's raining, go outside.
oh, yeah, get some air, get some fresh air.
Yeah. AJ?
I feel like my message would be, um, if you think that people are not watching, there's always someone watching. So do things that you like, continue life in the most give continue life in a way that you see fit and how you see suitable for yourself, as long as you're not hurting anybody. And yeah, always do things for yourself and just let people follow in your footsteps, because eventually they will fall in line and they will absolutely love what you do.
Beautiful messages from you guys. I absolutely love that. This has been a beautiful conversation. And I always end my shows on a little bit of things I call affirmations, positive affirmations, daily affirmations. So if you would please join me, I'm gonna turn this on for just a little bit, and I'm gonna say, I want to thank T and Tussle, represented by Chids and AJ, for coming onto the show, sharing with me their beautiful story of how they started their show, sharing with me the beautiful story of how they started the fandom of pro wrestling, and sharing with me their time, because I know time is like the only real currency we have left. And I love that the time you guys spend on your show and the effort you guys put in and the way you guys represent is for the culture, it's for the better of society. And I believe you guys are doing a great job, and you guys will continue to do great jobs for as long as you choose to do the show and as long as you choose to do whatever you guys do for your own livings. But I gotta say, I appreciate you guys for coming on here, blessing me with your time, blessing me with your takes, and blessing me with your thoughts. This has been the prescription, and I am so happy to have T and Tussle here. Please listen to their show. Please follow them on their socials. Thank you guys so much. This has been Doc.